Dear students, today in this class we are going to learn about constitutional development, which is related to the third chapter known as the impact of the British rule in India. In this chapter we are going to learn about different acts that were introduced by the British during their rule in India. For example, we are going to learn about Regulating Act, Pitt's India Act, and different charter acts introduced by them. And along with these acts, charter acts, we are going to learn about Indian Council Act of 1861, Indian Council Act of 1892, Indian Council Act of 1909, Indian Council Act of 1919, and Indian Government Act of 1935. So before going to learn about all these acts, let us know the meaning of constitutional development. Along with the British administration, problems also grew in India. In order to overcome the problems, reformation in administration became important, and these reformations needed to address the demands of Indians. The British attempted to create different rules in the form of law and tried to implement them. These types of laws helped the evolution of constitution in India. We shall study this attempt in brief. Now, laws implemented during the rule of East India Company. In this, the first one is Regulating Act, which was introduced in 1773. After the implementation of Diwani rights in 1765, the greedy company officials misused this provision and became rich in the corrupt way. Corruption spiraled out. Edmund Burke, a member of the British Parliament, criticized the corruption in the East India Company. He turned the tax payment received by the British government from the East India Company as criminal tax. He was forced to criticize in this manner as the government remained silent to the fact of corruption among the company officials. Many company officials had become super rich, and the many in England feared that these people may upset the very political fabric of England. The Regulating Act was implemented in this background in 1773. Now let us know the important features of a Regulating Act of 1773. Before the implementation of the Act, there were three presidencies under British rule. They are Bengal, Madras, and Bombay. All these three were independent administrative units. Under Regulating Act, the Bengal presidency gained control over the other two presidencies. The second one of Regulating Act of 1773 is the Governor of Bengal became the Governor General of all the three presidencies. The third provision of the Act was the Governor General was authorized to direct, exercise, control, and to supervise over the other two presidencies. The Bombay and Madras presidencies could not declare war on anyone or enter into peace agreements without prior approval of the Governor General of Bengal Presidency and the Board of Directors of the company. Only during acute emergencies they were entitled to act independently. Fifth provision of the Act was, according to this Act, Supreme Court was established in Calcutta. In this central court, one Chief Justice and three ordinary judges were there. Like this, as the name of the Regulating Act suggests, the Act was aimed at regulating the company affairs and its administration in India. So this is all about a Regulating Act. Now the second one is Pitt's India Act 1784. There were many inconsistencies in the Regulating Act of 1773. In order to rectify them and also to clearly outline the powers of the East India Company and the British government, Pitt's India Act was implemented. The government of England restricted the powers of the East India Company. As per as Pitt's India Act 1784, a new institution named Board of Controllers consisting of 6 commissioners was started. The Board of Controllers replaced the Board of Directors. This board had powers to direct and control the issues related to land taxes, military and civil areas. The Board of Controller came into existence in the place of Board of Directors. This act declared that the Indians have attained their paramount power in the name of the British Empire only, but not on their own, and curtailed the political rights of Indians concessively. It declared that the areas under the possession of the East India Company are the integral part of the British Empire. Hence, the government of England is the ultimate ruler of India. So this is all about the Pitt's India Act. Now let us know about Charter Acts. The main aim of Charter Acts was to renew the license of the East India Company. The Charter Acts of 1793, 1813, 1833 and 1853 were implemented to achieve this aim. As and when the charters were implemented once in 20 years, the new rules and regulations found fit by the British government was included in these acts. Among these, the Charter Acts of 1813 and 1833 are important for many reasons. Now, let us know about the Charter Act of 1813. This act licensed the East Company to stay for another 20 years in India. Before implementation of this act, a demand to allow any interested person to carry out trade in India was there. This act allowed this demand and authorized all interested persons to carry out trade in India. With this act, the free trade era started in India. Second one, a new era of license and authorization started. Third one, the board of directors was vested in the powers to appoint the governor general and the commander in chief. Fourth one, the churches were allowed to enter India officially. The Christian missionaries were directed to enrich the knowledge of Indians and also enhance the moral and spiritual life of Indians. Many Christian missionaries started arriving in India after this act. The expansion of Christianity and English education started taking place. Because of all these developments, the Charter Act of 1813 is a historic act. Students, now let us learn another important act known as Charter Act of 1833. This act aimed at improving the Indian situation. It also licensed East India Company to remain in India for another 20 years. The main aspects of this act are as follows. The first one, the Governor General of Bengal was named as the Governor General of India. Second one, the Governor General was vested with powers to direct, control, and supervising all the trades in India. Third one, the central government of Bengal had the final right to decide on issues like war, peace, and diplomatic relationship with the princely states of India. Fourth one, the Governor General was mandated to put his difference of opinion with the Executive Committee members in writing whenever he differed with the majority opinion. The act barred any discrimination based on religion, birth, and skin color. The Governor General was mandated to appoint a law professional as member to his executive committee. Seventh one, all British companies were allowed to have trade relationship in India. So these are the important provisions of the Charter Act of 1833. The Charter Act of 1833 throws more light on the internal situation of India and also the various political developments present in England during 1830s. Okay children, so all these are the important aspects of the Act of 1833. Dear students, now we are going to learn the acts that were introduced by the British government between 1858 to 1947. So, when British government took over the administration of India, during that time, the British government introduced different acts. Among them, Indian Government Act of 1858, Indian Councils Act of 1861, Indian Councils Act of 1892, Indian Councils Act of 1909, Indian Councils Act of 1919, and Indian Government Act of 1935, and the last one, Indian Independence Act of 1947 are important. So now let us learn all these acts one by one. The Sipahi Mutiny took place due to misadministration of the East India Company and anti-Indian acts in 1857. As a result, the administration of India was handed over to the British Queen from the East India Company. During this period, Indian Government Acts of 1858, 1861, 1892, 1909, 1919 and 1935 were implemented. Due to various political developments during different periods makes these acts historically very important. Now, let us learn Indian Government Act of 1858. This act needs to be understood in the backdrop of civil and military unrest that took place in 1857. The administration of India came under the direct rule of British government. The Queen of England, Victoria, announced that all-round development of India would be ensured by the British government on November 1, 1858. The following are the important features of this act. The first one, the license of East India Company was cancelled and India was brought under the direct administration of the Queen. Second one, the post of Governor General was changed into Viceroy. Lord Canning became the first Viceroy of India. Third one, a new post called Secretary of State for India was created in the British government. The Secretary was part of British cabinet and was responsible for the administration of India. Fourth one, a Council of India was created in order to assist the Secretary in the administration. The council had 15 members. So all these are the important provisions of the Indian Government Act of 1858. Now let us know about another important act known as Indian Councils Act of 1861. This is an important act that came into effect after the 1857. With this act, Indians were allowed to participate in the process of creating laws. In order to understand the aspirations of Indians, representation was given to Indians. This is called as policy of assertion. The following are the important features of this act. First one, Indians were nominated to the Council of Viceroy as non-official members. Second one, Viceroy was authorized to proclaim ordinances in case of emergency. So these are the important provisions of the Act of 1861. Now another important act known as Indian Councils Act of 1892. This is very important act. This act is the continuation of Indian Council Act of 1861. This Act of 1892 further extended the participation of Indians in the legislative bodies. The critical view expressed by the Congress organization towards the British administration led to this expansion of Indian representation in the governance. The following are the important features of this act. First one, the number of additional members in the regional and central legislative bodies was increased. Second one, the legislative council's authority was increased further by allowing discussions on budget related issues. Third one, provision was made to question the government on public issues by serving 6 days notice in advance. So these are the important provisions of Act of 1892. Now let us learn a very important act known as Indian Councils Act of 1909. This act is also called Minto-Morley Reformation Act. The Act of 1909 is also known as Minto-Morley Reformation Act. Now let us know about this act. During the formulation and implementation of this act, Lord Minto was the Viceroy of India and Lord Morley was the Secretary of State for India. This act was used to divide and rule India. The following are the important features of this act. The total number of Central Legislative Council members was increased to 60 from 16. Second one, the number of regional council members was also increased. Third one, representation of the regional council was allowed through election for the first time. Fourth one, in order to provide separate representation for Muslims, separate electorate college was created. So all these are the important provisions of Indian Councils Act of 1909, which is also known as Minto-Morley Reformation Act. Now let us know about another important act known as Indian Councils Act of 1919. Since Indians took active part in the First World War, Lord Montague was the Secretary of State for India, argued in favor of providing more representations to Indians in the matter of administration. He was in favor of allowing people's participation in the formation of government gradually. Lord Chelmsford, who the Viceroy then declared various reformative measures to the British Parliament on 28, 1917. The Indian Council Act of 1919 was formulated by accepting this report. This act is also called as Montague-Chelmsford Reformative Act. The following are the important features of this act. First one, act formulated bicameral legislative body. Lower house and upper house were formed. Second one, diarchy was allowed at regional governments. Third one, an high commissioner was appointed for India. Fourth one, promised to improve local self-government. Fifth one, provisional budget was separated from central budget. Sixth one, separate electoral college was extended for Muslims, Sikhs, Anglo-Indians and Europeans. So they are the 6 important provisions of the Act of 1919. Now let us learn about another act known as Indian Government Act of 1935. This act acted as the base for the formation of Indian Constitution. The report submitted in 1928 under the leadership of Motilal Nehru was instrumental in the formation of the act. Most the provisions in the Indian Constitution are based on this act. This act allowed the formation of fully responsible government by Indians. This act was applicable both to the Indian principalities and also to the British Indian regions. The following are the important features of this act. First one, a federal system of Indian principalities, British governed regions and dominion states was formed. Second one, a Reserve Bank of India was established. Third one, diarchy was established at the center. Fourth one, diarchy was cancelled at the regional level and autonomy was granted. Fifth one, the federal court was established. So all these are the 5 important provisions of the Act of 1935. One should understand the various political developments that resulted in the formation of various acts that aided the formation of Indian Constitution. Though these acts serve the purpose of British interest, they also include the aspirations of Indians for the self-governance. These acts should be understood as the result of struggle led by Indians for self-rule. So all these are the important acts. Okay children, thank you.